Welcome to VICTORPATH. Every person believes they're thinking for themselves. But how many of our beliefs did we actually choose? And how many were inherited? Independent thinking doesn't begin with having answers. It begins with questioning assumptions. Point one, we inherited most of our beliefs. We inherited most of our beliefs. Most of what we believe is sourced from external sources. It was put upon us. And you have to think about that. That's very important to think about. Most of what we believe was put upon us, forced upon us. We didn't have room to think about it. Take a step back to think about it. Very few of us had a chance to take a step back and think. Where did this come from? What is that? Why does everybody believe that? Just because everybody believes that, why do I have to follow it? Where does it come from? Everything, religion, politics, relationships, anything you could think about, it was put on us without questioning it. It's very few of us that had the opportunity to step back. And it's very few of us, well, I say that had the guidance to step back. And there's very few of us that did it on our own. We are born into systems before we can evaluate them. This goes to family. This goes for school teaching. This goes for religious traditions. This goes for political identity. I remember my mom's not here. I could now anymore, so I can say this. I don't think there's any punishment for this anyway, but I can say this now. I remember the first time I was able to vote. I think it was 2004, George Bush versus John Kerry. The first time I was able to vote without even knowing the candidates and this and that and political party liberal. I didn't know none of that. All I knew was to vote Democrat. And my mom went in the booth with me and pulled a lever. God bless her soul. She's not here anymore. My mom was an amazing mother. I was blessed to have her as a mother. Now I don't associate with that political ideology anymore. No, but I'm bringing up that point just to show that how even by the people you love, they put things upon you that they don't even think about. Sometimes I had these arguments, not really till the day that she died, but a couple of months into before she died, I had these arguments questioning her, not religion really. I kind of stayed away from religion, but politics, just like even her philosophy in life overall, just to because my biggest problem with religion, sometimes it diminishes, takes away from your armor of self-improvement, and it relies too much on external sources. And that was my problem with her a lot of time. I'm like, Ma, there's a lot of things that you're asking for that you could give to yourself. Instead of getting down on knees and praying, you could give it to yourself if you change certain habits in your lifestyle and the people that's around you. But that's another subject. The point is, we inherit most of what we believe. Cultural expectations, social influence. Did I choose this belief or did I inherit it? You have to ask that question. Did I choose this belief or did I inherit it? And dependent on uh, the answer, if you chose it, okay, you chose it. Question why you chose it, of course, and make it make sense, but at least you chose it. Did you inherit it? Okay, where did it come from? Why did these people put it upon me? What's going on? Question it. Point two, familiarity is not evidence. Familiarity is not evidence. An idea could feel true simply because you've heard it your whole life. It could feel true, but doesn't mean that it's true. It does not mean it's true. And, there's common sayings, one, for example, uh, what goes around comes around, karma, right? There's maybe some truth to that, but in life, period, there's going to be good things and bad things that happen to you, and not necessarily associated with the good or the bad things that you've done in your life. Regardless, whether you do good things or bad things, good things and bad things will happen to you in your life. No matter how good you think you are, bad things will happen. No matter how bad you think you are, good things will happen to you. Cultural norms, internet trends. Everybody, everybody knows. Common saying, everybody knows. Everybody could be wrong. Everybody could be wrong. You could be the only one that's right. Consensus, consensus isn't proof. Just because everybody believes it doesn't mean that it's proof. Repetition creates comfort, not necessarily truth. So just because you hear people saying it over and over and repeated it, it makes you comfortable, but it does not mean that it's true. You still got to verify it. People often confuse confidence with correctness. So, and this is part of manipulation. Somebody could say something confidently, and it sounds like just because they said it with confidence, it may sound true. This is part of sales too. If you say something with confidence, but you might not know all the details and everything, you could still sell the person just by saying it with confidence. Better than somebody that knows everything, all the tools, all the details, but doesn't speak with confidence. Familiarity explains beliefs. It doesn't prove it. So it explains what's going on and what people believe, but it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't. No matter how many people repeat this, it could be all those people that are scared to dig beyond the surface level of what this belief system is. Most people are going to be scared. Dogma exists everywhere. Most people think dogma only exists in religion. What is dogma? The dogma is blind faith. Dogma generally is anything that when you question it, the more you question it, the source, the more there are barriers and objections, and you can't go here. No, say it will do this to you, we'll do that to you. Any system that runs on the deeper you get to the source and the truth, the more there's objections and barriers, and no, that's dogma. Religion is one of the main examples. Yes, because you can't talk to pastors and priests and your everyday churchgoer about the source of religion, where the Bible came from, King James, etc., this and that. You can't talk to them about that. Everything is the source from the Bible, but where did the Bible come from? Another story for another day. Politics. I just explained about my mom. God bless her soul. She was an amazing mom. She was an amazing mom. But in my household growing up, this is before as long as I lived there, I couldn't really question politics. And it wasn't until like 2015 Trump, and probably a little bit before that, honestly, because I was listening to a lot of Alex Jones before then. So I was introduced to, like, all that stuff and political, and I got to know more about the left and the right, conservatives, liberals, and etc. But we didn't even talk about that stuff growing up. It was just vote Democrat, don't ask questions. And the more I asked questions, the more I thought about Trump. Oh, how could you support that man? And they don't, and it's like you can't even quite. It's the thing about that frustrated me the most is like, okay, let's talk about the issues. Forget the men, forget the actors. Issues, not people. Issues, and it's like, no, dogma, blind faith, relationships, relationship advice. Either way, relationships or relationship advice. Relationships is a system that, especially now with feminism, giving women the birth control pill, giving women the rights, the sexual revolution, the internet, social media, adult videos. Like now, more than ever, men should be questioning, why do I even need a relationship? Why am I participating in this outside of my desires? Why? These women are the men that they want to date. They're already the men that they want to date. Do you want to date men as a man? No, I don't. I don't want to date a man, but I do want the box. Yeah, I do want the box, but I don't want the man. I'm already the man. I don't want to compete with you. So, I mean, not enough men question, why do we even need relationships? Or do you not have enough game to talk to girls? And then just this one, that one, this one, and you don't got to be irresponsible, but it's like a lot of the times now, the way how feminism has impacted women in relationships are irresponsible for most men. And then the advice is even worse. The advice is even worse. Dogma, blind faith, corporate culture, self-help communities, even those. Because everybody has to go on a different path to help themselves. Everybody has different cards they were dealt. Everybody has different circumstances in their life. Everybody has different skill set and limitations, fears. So you have to conquer them yourself. There's a lot of things in this life that you have to learn on your own. No one is going to help you. You have to learn it on your own. Social media algorithms. Even scientific ideas can be dogmatic if questioning is discouraged. Perfect example during COVID. That was scientific dogma. People who don't wear condoms when they have sex with unprotected sex with people telling me to wear a mask, wear gloves in public. And then you couldn't question none of the numbers. You couldn't question its origin. You couldn't question Dr. Fauci. I'm science. Blah, blah, blah. Biden used his auto pen to pardon him right before he left office. You couldn't question the election that Biden somehow got 81 million votes. You're going to question none of that. Dogma, blind faith to science and to the system, to the news. Dogma isn't defined by what you believe. It's defined by whether questioning it is allowed. Can you question it? If you can't question it, it's generally dogma. You couldn't question the science in Dr. Fauci and COVID. Point four. Why? Why people resist questions? Why people resist questions? Because questions threaten their identity. Think about it. If a question questions your identity, what does that mean? Your identity is weak. So that's tough for a lot of people to acknowledge. Your identity is weak. You spent your whole existence building your identity on a system that you haven't questioned, just to turn around and now it's questioned to you, and you don't want to face the question because it exposes your identity as weak. The fear of being wrong, the fear of rejection, tribal loyalty. You have an emotional investment. There could be confirmation bias. So any new information that you get, if it doesn't align with your identity, your belief system, it's don't matter how accurate it could be, how much sense it can make, it's automatically downgraded to near irrelevance because it goes against what your belief system, your identity, confirmation bias. Why do people get angry when their ideas are questioned? Why do people get angry? Why do people get angry when their ideas are questioned? Often because they're defending an identity, not just an idea. You have to keep that into your brain. People get mad when the ideas are questioned because it threatens their identity, not just the idea. It's about identity. Point five, independent thinking requires humility. This is very, 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 very important. This is essentially the foundation of independent thinking. Humility, self-reflection, accountability. I put that all in the same bucket. Humility. You have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say that I was wrong when confronted with truth. I was wrong. And don't feel no bad ways about it. Don't feel like it's the end of the world. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. True thinkers can admit they can true thinkers admit they can be wrong. True thinkers can admit when they're wrong. That's part of being a critical thinker, big thinker. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. And you have to be able to admit it when you're wrong. No shame. No trying to defend your identity as a big thinker. No, sometimes you are wrong. You, I'm talking to you, me, you. Sometimes you are wrong. It's okay. You have to ask yourself, how do I know this? Even go further. What's the strongest evidence against my view? Any view that you have, religion, politics, relationships, etc. What's the strongest evidence against it? Dig even deeper. What would change? What could change my view about this? What information could I find out that would change my view about this? Am I defending truth or am I defending my ego? And most times, you're going to find out, even when it comes to religion, especially when it comes to religion, that most people are defending their ego. They're not defending truth. They're defending their ego. They're defending the system. They're defending the hierarchy. They're defending their position in the hierarchy, in the system. They're not defending truth because the truth will collapse everything. Confidence without humility becomes arrogance. So if you're confident about something, but you don't admit when you're wrong, you can't admit, you don't have the ability to admit when you're wrong. That's arrogance. You need to check that. You need to check that. It's confidence. It's earned. Now, there is a little wiggle room to play with confidence that, so to essentially sell people, sell yourself, most importantly, but sell other entities that might be decision makers in whatever field that you're trying to navigate in. But essentially, confidence is earned. So you have to earn a high degree of confidence. Point six, questioning isn't rebellion. Questioning isn't rebellion. Independent thinking isn't automatically disagreeing. Sometimes questioning strengthens your belief. So sometimes when you question things, it strengthens your belief even more. And this could go for religion, it could go for politics, it could go for relationships, it could go for all the previous stuff I mentioned. Sometimes questioning stuff could strengthen your belief. Sometimes there are no right and wrong answers. Things are not black and white. Sometimes it depends on the perspective, the point of view, the context. So sometimes questioning strengthens your beliefs, but sometimes it also changes them. Respecting people while, you have to respect people while questioning ideas. That's very important. Respect people while questioning ideas. So don't disrespect them just because you disagree or you're questioning ideas. Come to them with respect. Avoid the trap of being anti everything. No, we're not anti everything. We just want understanding. And we get understanding by questioning things, no matter how many people agree with it. And you don't got to throw it in people's face. There's a law in the 48 laws of power. I think it's law 15. I forgot what law it is. It says, think as you like, but behave as others. Think as you like, but behave as others. So question things, understand things. Doesn't mean that you got to go on this and that, and this is wrong, like, no, behave like others until it benefits you, of course, but think as you could think like you like, but don't, you're going to cause more problems if you go with your thoughts in certain systematic settings, because the systems are there for a reason, to keep people aligned in order, in this order. But sometimes the system inevitably lead, a lot of the times the systems lead to corruption, and corruption of your soul, who you are, and then you corrupt the people you're involved with. So, and they're not it's because at the end of the day, it becomes more about the structure, the hierarchy, protecting our position rather than the truth. Critical thinking seeks understanding, not conflict. So again, we want understanding. We don't want to have a conflict. We want to understand. Sometimes that could lead to conflict, yes, but we are on a caution of diffusion. And if it gets to if you see that as getting into a conflict where it could be costly, most of the times it's best to walk away. You don't need to navigate if this lane that you're navigating is causing is too much traffic, too much going on, find another route to where you need to be. Don't get stuck on one path. Find another route. Now, if that's your only route, okay, okay. Now you could start thinking about conflict and this and that and how you're gonna get through that. But that's another subject for another day. Point seven, last point. Curiosity creates growth. Curiosity creates growth. The smartest people don't pretend to know everything. No, that's why we ask questions. We don't know everything. We ask questions to learn more, to gain understanding. We're not asking questions thinking that we're above and we know it all. No, we want understanding. We want clarity. Smartest people don't pretend to know everything. They ask better questions. Scientists often revise theories. So something that they acknowledged as was scientifically true at one period of time often gets revised with new evidence, new uh, research, new studies. Entrepreneurs test assumptions. So entrepreneurs see something that people, or a lot of people believe, and they test it. They do market research and they test it and see what product or offering they could offer to capitalize on that assumption that people have. Writers rewrite drafts. So, you wrote a rough draft, and at that moment, you thought everything that you wrote was true to an extent, or that was where your mind was at the moment, but you go over it. Go over it to evolve and fix the flaws, become better, make it more polished, make it more digestible for who you want your audience to be. Martial artists refines techniques. I work on my stuff every day, my martial stuff every day. My old, I don't want to say old, my NASD system that I grew up in New York, the mixed martial arts system, train that stuff still every day. Then out here where I live in Texas, I want to say out here where I live in Texas, I train Muay Thai and boxing, and I work on my stuff every day, every day. Whether it's the technical stuff, whether it's the um, understanding forms, numbers, techniques, positioning, whether it's the physical aspect, being conditioned, being strong enough to do certain techniques, I refine, and even, like what I learned, I could revise it to my own skills and strength and my liking. Somebody, there could be a technique that I know that I was taught, and my instructor might have done it in a way to break their arm or choke them out. I could probably do it in a way that I prefer to handcuff them, subdue them without causing that kind of damage. And that all depends on the circumstances, situation, etc. But, you know, the more curiosity creates growth. So you can't assume that you know everything. You always got to evolve and uh, ask better questions, revise things, and want to grow and admit when you're wrong. Which leads to the Chimera universe and in love with the Chimera. One lesson I've learned while writing the Chimera universe is that the most compelling characters aren't the ones who are always right. They're the ones who are forced to question everything they believe. In Fairy Tale of a Love Monster, characters discover that what they call love actually may be obsession, dependency, or the pursuit of validation. The conflict isn't just external, it's internal. The greatest battle is often between who we thought we were and who we were becoming. The same process applies in real life. Growth begins when we're willing to examine our assumptions instead of protecting them. Fairy Tale of a Love Monster is the follow-up sequel to In Love with the Chimera, part of the Chimera universe. Join my email list to get a free copy of Fairy Tale of a Love Monster and go to Amazon.com to get the ebook or Thought Provoking Space to get the hard copy, the paperback copy of In Love with the Chimera. In closing, every belief deserves examination, not because every belief is wrong, but because unexamined beliefs shape our lives. Think critically, question assumptions, choose direction. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, and subscribe to VictorPath. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's one belief you've changed your mind about over the years? And what caused you to rethink it? And if you enjoy stories that explore the ideas through fiction, check out my novel, In Love with the Chimera, and the free companion short story, Fairy Tale of a Love Monster, through my website and email list.